Hi everyone, welcome back to Learning Power BI and Accessible Design. Today I will walk you through how to build a financial benefit burnup chart in Power BI using DAX measures and error bars to clearly visualize the gap between your baseline and realized benefits. If you missed the two-part blog series on my website Smart Frames, where I explain the data model setup and DAX calculations in detail, you will find the links in the video description, so make sure you read them first. Now, let's dive straight into Power BI and bring this chart to life. So first, let's take a quick look at the data model. We have two key tables here. We have the DIN date, that is our date dimension table, and we have the facts program benefits that contains the baseline and realized costs for each benefit. So the relationship is already set and we are ready to move on to the measures. So now let's create the core DAX measures that we're going to need. First, we will create the cumulative benefit baseline, and this calculates the cumulative total of the baseline financial benefit over time. So that's a very simple DAX. If you're not sure how to calculate a cumulative total, make sure you have a look at the blog and I explain each one of the functions and how it works. Next, we calculate the benefit outturn, and this measure handles both the realized and the baseline costs, depending on whether the benefit has been realized or not. So here it is. This logic ensures that if a benefit hasn't been realized yet, it uses the baseline cost. Otherwise, it uses the realized cost. Now we will create the cumulative benefit outturn, and this measure will progressively sum the outturn value over time. So there it is. Again, on the blog, I explain how this is done. Specific visual, I will use the error bar upper as a way to illustrate the benefit gap between the baseline and the outturn. And to repurpose this, we first need to calculate the actual difference between the cumulative baseline and the cumulative outturn. So I'm going to call it variance. And here it is. I use the cumulative measures that we created previously. So because this value should be above our column, so this is the column, and this is what our error bar will look like, we need now to add these two measures together. So my error bars would be my cumulative benefit outturn, which is here on the columns, and add the variance that we created here. So it means that will give this effect that we have here on this visual. So that's very simple. Next, I'm going to create my cutoff date. So if you have a cutoff date or a reporting date that you want to add, in this case, my cutoff date will be on the 31st of March of 2020. Now that we have the measures we need, we're going to build the visual. So I'm going to add here a line and clustered column chart. For my x-axis, I'm going to use the field end of month from my date dimension table. My column on the y-axis will be the benefit outturn, so the cumulative benefit outturn. And my line y-axis will be my benefit baseline, so the benefit I expected. Here it is. And then I also want to add some tooltips, and my tooltip will also be the benefit baseline and the variance. So now we just need to format to make sure it looks like what we need. First, let's format the line. So my line, I do not want solid, I want it to be dashed. And my color, I'm going to use like a dark gray. And I'm just going to make it a little bit smooth. So after formatting our line, let's format our columns. The column, I want to have two different colors. So everything that is before or on my cutoff date, I want it to be dark blue. And everything that is after, I want it to be gray because it's in the future. And for that, I created a measure. So here is my measure. If the pretty much if my date is less or equal to my cutoff date, it's going to give me this hex code, which is dark blue. Else is going to give me these, it's going to be gray. So under here, I will just select field value, and then it will be this one. Now we need to add our error bars. And to do that, we go here on the format visual where you have a magnifying lens. I'm going to click there. And on the error bars, I want to apply to the outer, which is the column. I'm going to enable, and it's going to be by field, and my field is the error bar here. And I want to add that on the upper bound. And then we just need to make sure that we format that. It's a bit more, stands out a little bit more. I'm going to use it here. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. There we go. And my marker is going to be, yes, I want this one. Maybe just make it a little bit bigger. So now I already have my baseline, my outer, my error bars. Let's just make sure that our axes are formatted correctly. So let's go now back to the visualization. On my x-axis, I want my values. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I can leave it end of month. And then I have my y-axis, my values. I also am going to make it bigger. And for the title, I'm going to write benefit, cumulative benefit, and it's in pounds. And I can actually make it a little bit bigger as well. So let's set the axis title to 14 as well. Now we can also format our legend. I am going to change this style to line. And I don't want to have this name, so I need to rename my measures. I'm going back to build. And here for the column y-axis, where you have the cumulative, benefit, outturn, I just want it to be benefit, outturn. And for the cumulative benefit baseline, I'm going to call it benefit baseline. And then here on my tooltips, my variance is actually the difference between the baseline and the outturn. So I can call it benefit loss. Now we can also give a better title. Let's give it a more meaningful title. I'm going to call it Cumulative Financial Benefit Outturn versus Baseline Progress. And I can also make the title larger. And the final step is actually adding the line that has got our cutoff date. So again, I'm going to go back here on the format visual where you have the magnifying lens, and we're going to add a x-axis constant. And I will use the measure that I have created. So on the date, and it's in the cutoff date. And I'm just going to change the color. And I want to add the date and the label. So I'm going to add the data label. And on the data label, I want to show both. There we go. Let's just rename. We don't want to have x-axis constant line. We want to call it cutoff date. And I will change the color. So there is one more thing you can add if you wish, which is the data labels. So if I go under the format and data labels, and I want to apply it for the baseline. And we don't need to leave all of them. We can always change how many data points we have available. If you just go to label density and then reduce it to 25, we can also change the font size. So let's make it to 13. And that's it. We have now created a financial benefit burn-up chart with error bars in Power BI. This visual allows you to track the progress of realized benefits against the baseline with a clear visual representation of the gap. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on new content. It's goodbye from me now, and see you on the next video.